You're listening to The Objective Jerk, and I am said jerk. What's going on? First of all, it's the end of the month. My subscription for my podcast, I still have like 2 hours left, but it's about to renew, so I'm like, man, I gotta use up some of that. I'm just throwing money away, right? Not like it's a lot, but still. So I was noticing that, and then I'm like, and saw something come up, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of continue on yesterday. I've opened the Pandora's box of anti-trans. I've been trying to be nice and not be anti-trans, but I'm done with it. I'm sorry. Now, I do believe that there are very few people who have gender dysphoria, which is a mental condition, and they transition, they go through everything, but they do it quietly, and they just want to be who they think they are and live their life, okay? The rest of these psychos are just that. They're psychos. And they're using trans because they get attention. They get, support from other crazy people. Oh, yay, oh, you're so strong. And they're like, okay, yeah. It's sickening. You know what I mean? And then when you have like the mayor, was it the mayor of Minneapolis talking about, saying, he didn't say a word about the people attacked, about Christians, about Catholics, about the kids. He's all about, don't take it out on the trans. I'm afraid the trans are going to be hated. This is all demonic, man. It's sickening. It really is. So, okay, I said that pretty quick. I kind of go over, or I think about what I'm going to say a little bit. So this is how my podcast works with me. Okay. I mean, you all know I'm lazy as hell. I sometimes do bullet points, but most of the time I don't. It's just off the top of my head, which is pretty obvious to most people. But I'm just trying to be genuine, and just not be just talking, really, And again, this is for me, for my own benefit, to just let some steam out, let some things off my chest. But so like today, I saw another story about another trans who killed somebody. And this was like the day after Minneapolis, you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh my goodness, So, and then I don't, I cut back on my social media, but I get on at least once a day and just make a comment, maybe share something. I'll look through a couple things and maybe say something or whatever, but that's about it. But like a combination of another violent trans person, this and that, and then more of what I talked about on my last podcast. I kind of felt like talking about it again, and so here I am, And then plus I was like, okay, my subscription's about to renew, so I might as well get another podcast put out. So, and then that's what I do. And then I wrote here on my notepad about on threads, and stuff like that. And so I don't, I used to be on I used to be on TikTok a lot. Sometimes, I don't know, I get on there and I'll watch some videos sometimes, but mostly I just post. And then every time I post something, I'll kind of look at some stuff, and then I don't really get on. I can get sucked into the 5-second, 30-second, whatever kind of short attention span, kind of social media thing that's popular now, YouTube shorts and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's just not for me. But I can't do the long version too, like on people. So the people I follow on social media, they do a little bit of everything because they're trying to get, an audience. So they do shorts, they do normal like 10, 12-minute videos or something. And then they do live streaming. Live streaming is just too long for me. I can't sit and, I do live streaming stuff like when I'm doing chores or something. I'll listen to it, you know what I mean? But it's like I gotta be doing something, I'll listen to it. And most of the time I have it like sped up a little bit too, because it's just, I can't sit 3 hours, it's just too long. But I don't know. I've had somebody say like, why don't you try streaming? And I'm like, because no one would watch. No one would watch it live. Maybe eventually, but It's not like I have people waiting. Oh man, the objective jerk. One day, if I get, I guess, what did I say? I got 10 listeners. So if I get 5 of you to say, bro, you should stream, then maybe. Still going to be pretty lame. As in, I would, not, if I had 5 people to interact with that listen to me, I guess that'd be kind of cool. And just sit there and talk and whatever. But anyway, that's just not my thing. Anyway, so I used to spend more time on like Twitter, sharing stuff and doing this, trying to get, people to see, the objective jerk and kind of do when I first started the podcast, I did that and it kind of worked. I don't want to pay marketing, even though most of it's probably bullshit, but I have paid a little bit towards TikTok and a couple things to try it out. And it's just, yeah, you get a few more views kind of a little bit, but it's nothing really resulted from it, then a few more views. And I'm like, yeah, maybe they're pushing it more. And so people will watch the first few seconds, but they're not really watching the whole thing. So I just don't think it's worth it. And again, this is just for me, mostly. And again, if, all of a sudden I did get a bunch of people subscribing and this and that, it's not like I'd be like, oh, I'm going to turn this off. I would continue and deal with it. But it's like at the same time, like that's a scary thought for me to sit there and be, to have that much attention, given to the podcast, to sit there and be responding to emails and this and that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I want that. Anyway, so before I get into the other thing though, so one thing I noticed too, and there is just like how people were attacking, just like how there was like all these psyops going after Trump and the Russiagate, which is proven to be false and proven to be from the Democrats. Will anybody be prosecuted for it? I doubt it. No, I don't think America ever wants to actually have a president serve time or be, you know what I mean? Because you had like Nixon resign. They always give him a way out. So even if Osama bin Laden, Osama Obaden, no, Osama, what the hell? What was his name? What was the president? Excuse me. I got a chest cold, obviously. No. What the hell was his name? I keep thinking of the terrorist, which he kind of was. Obama. There we go. Anyway, so, it's never going to happen. I don't think. If it does, that'll be awesome and surprising, but no. But there's psyops going on for everything. You saw the news clips with COVID and how they all just said the same exact thing. And there's just with everything. So now there's this psyop because they're pushing trans so much through marketing and movies and shows and everything. And there's just kind of a lot of negative parts or, the negative side of trans coming out, and they're trying to cover it up, It reminds me of when Netflix put the Jeffrey Dahmer series in the gay category and they all flipped out. So they removed it. It's like, dude, he was gay, It was about a gay man eating gay people, Sorry, but you got to take the good with the bad. And most of it's bad. Your Harvey Milk movie goes with Jeffrey Dahmer eating gay dudes. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. But so you have the same thing now, like with, the stuff that's going on. So there was factual, like word had got out. I guess it was still kind of early. So to be fair to whoever this person was, but there was factual information released. It was kind of new, but then I noticed on social media how a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, it's not even, you don't even know, blah, blah, blah. It's not trans. See, Republicans, you immediately start blah blah blah, this and that, and it's like, no, it's fact, it's true, you know.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. Do people jump the gun? Yeah. But, you know, for one thing, when it takes a minute for any information to get out, you know it's the person's on the left side because they're trying to figure out a way to squash it. If that person was legitimately, or even, you know, the last few posts, like, you know, like I'm surprised there hasn't been somebody like for the last month before they decide to do an attack, sit there and all this pro-Trump stuff and wear a Trump hat and then go do whatever to, you know what I mean? But even then, that's like just like the left, disingenuous, you know. But if, you know, when a person does appear to be, you know, a straight white Republican person that does something, dude, that information is released before it even happens. You know what I mean? Like, it gets out there quick. And then when it's the other way around, it's like, what's going on? What's going on? And they always make up these excuses, you know. Oh, well, we don't want to. Oh, the victims, and oh, we don't. Oh, well, you released everything so quick when it was. Well, you know, it's like, it's such bullshit. It's so obvious, you know. But there are left ticks, liberal ticks, liberal lunatics. I'm trying to coin that, liberal ticks. What's up? That still just don't. They're just retarded. And so, yeah, it was just like, you know, people trying to really push the, you know, we need to not start attacking the trans. It's like, well, I agree. We don't need to attack anybody. But the thing that I teach my kids is, you know, you can, you know, be friendly towards a gay person. Maybe even be friends. My kids are friends. There's lots of gay people here in the Philippines. So they have friends, and, you know, with whatever, and be courteous towards, you know, a trans that's, you know, obvious or whatever. We have, you know, but that doesn't mean you need to accept what they do. You know, what they're doing goes against God, and it's wrong, but hopefully they'll change and start following Christ. So if you attack them, you're just going to push them further away, you know. So you got to be nice, but you can't. But all this stuff, them trying to accept it, you know, with all these different churches and all this stuff, and in the media and the news, it's like, for someone who's not involved in any of this, like doesn't follow whatever, they just live their life. If you were to sit there and look at this and be like, why are they pushing this? Why? It makes no sense to push this acceptance and push all this trans stuff. Like what's the reason? Because it's demonic. It brings in the demons, man. It kind of seems like it brings in the demons more than just gay, or I don't know. They're probably, I don't know. I'm not going to try and, you know, you're not, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You know, it's not like all crazy psycho bad people are gay or anything like that, but it's just like, the thing is there's so many, like the percentage of gays in the world is so minute compared to the rest of the population. But right now, if you were to take a poll, like a legitimate poll, a lot of people, it would be really high right now, just because everybody's pushing it so much, and it's all about, you know, it's the new movement. It's the new, you know, people have mental problems, and are confused, and so that's what they do. They're, oh, I'm going to be, you know, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, so that's what's going on. People are trying to, and then so like so there's a new shooter, or I don't know if they shot somebody actually, but a trans individual. That's the thing too, is I've kind of noticed is like, so you have people who there are, I said it before, there are trans that are just trying to quietly go through the process and make the change and live their life, right? And you wouldn't even probably know. There's been a few times where I've seen a picture, or I mean, pictures or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's a pretty girl or whatever. And then it's like, oh no, that's actually a guy. What? I mean, if you saw them in person or met them, maybe it'd be different. But when the individual is like so obviously a man and they're just putting on some lipstick, still got their beard and like, I'm a woman, and they want to go in the bathroom and all this kind of stuff, dude, it's a mental demonic possession disease. A mental demonic possession disease. Another coin term. No. But yeah, it's these people have problems, mental issues. And if they would really want to get rid of it, they would go to a priest, start getting closer to God, accept Jesus into their heart. Why doesn't the VA try and push that? No, they just take these medicines that are created in a lab. Take all this stuff. This is all you need. I was given gabapentin, high doses, or at least that's what I'm told, daily. And people are like, what? And I took it for like 6 years. And I stopped taking it because I did it. You know what I mean? It wasn't because I was told by anybody. Just like during COVID, they didn't preach to people, hey, you need to try and exercise and eat right and this kind of stuff, because healthy people were not getting it. It was the unhealthy. No. What is it? Take this shot, take this shot, take this shot. I don't know. These medicines mess with your reasoning and your mental health. And I think they're made to kind of sort of help you, maybe at least at first, but then I've been going through this my whole life, and it wasn't maybe as bad when I was younger. I didn't even realize that I had any kind of problems. I used to have a hard time going to sleep because I'd be so anxious about school tomorrow, what I got to do, this and that. And it wasn't all the time, but there were times. Then I'd be tired all day at school. And I don't know. So I suffered from anxiety, and then, it got worse through combat, and then things were not doing so great. But this whole time, I didn't accept Jesus or nothing. I was given all kinds of meds, and they kind of helped at first, but then it's only temporary. It's not, yeah, I think meds are for like the initial, they need to prescribe a little bit of meds and some church, some Jesus. Like for real, man. I don't know. But anyway, so another individual, and it's nowhere on the news too. You're not seeing this anywhere, which is really kind of lame. Oh, you know what? Let me look here. Like nobody's reporting on it because it was just like one person, one father, a 50-year-old guy that was shot and killed or something. And so nobody's like, it's not huge news. And then plus it's got a trans individual, so they don't want to talk about that because that makes the trans community look bad, and that's what they're worried about. They're worried about this. They're worried about the demons in the world. They're protecting the demons. So what does that tell you? It's just crazy, man. I wish I had like a little time thing up here on the top of my computer. What if I could do that? Anyway, because I got to move my windows around and everything. God, I got this chest cold. Like, it's really been a weak one, but it's like it just will not go away. Let me see. Let's see if I can look this up. Oh, actually, I'm just going to put it up. I'm going to try it on here first and see what comes up. Let me see if it comes up. Most recent. What's that ground news I hear is pretty good. Yeah, stories of suppression. Let's see. They got. So you got to get a website that gives you a little bit of both. Left wing, right wing, tells you what nobody's talking about, but I'm not seeing. Let's see. Epstein files. Okay, let me see. It's going to bring Minneapolis. I know that. Shooting. Let's see what comes up. Yeah. I don't know. It's just insane. Man, usually I get the gun safety. Yeah, and they're like, oh, they were praying, so praying doesn't help. See, there's just this huge anti-Christian movement, you know? It's crazy. It's like it's the Crusades all over again, man. I've said that. Let's see. I'll just do whatever it says. I was kind of curious to see what would come up if I just was more vague. All right, trans shoots father. So dramatic. Here it is, right here. So the Western Journal. SWAT dramatically takes down trans man hours after father of 6-year-old is murdered on the walk back from school. Sasha Shakur, and it's a dude, like it's obvious, who was just arrested for allegedly shooting and killing a man in Massachusetts, posted a video admitting that he uses the women's locker room at a local spa because he identifies as a woman. This is the shit that's going on, and they're trying to. So this just happened. Like the next day, the following day. And everybody's trying to. Oh no, it's guns are the problem. Really? I said it before. A lot of people had guns in their cars years ago, and we didn't have this problem. So what's different? What's different between the 50s and now? SRIs and the lack of faith. Those are the two biggest things that have changed. You know, I've talked about the SRIs before, and I've been kind of, I guess, limiting my faith discussions because, I'm new to it. You know, it's like I don't like those people that are a vegetarian for a week and then they know how to, and they start, I just don't. I don't know. I'm not one to sit there and be like, oh, this is what you need to do, because I'm still working on it myself, So, but it is what, man, I'm sorry for coughing. I listen to my podcast and I'm like, gosh, man, coughing and sneezing and everything gets picked up. It's great, right? Anyway, maybe I just need to move back from the microphone. I like the way it sounds. I always do that though. Like it sounds better in my headphones when I'm like this. Like this sounds better. But I think for you guys, it's better if I'm like here. This is what I need to try and do. Anyway, let me know. What sounds better? I think I've asked that before, and nobody answers. Probably because they don't make it that far. Man, what I wanted to do was I need a mute. Where's the mute button? there a way to mute my mic so I gotta figure that out actually. I just thought of that. So that's for speaker or hold on, can you oh that's it right there. Is it? No, that's for my headphones. So it's still recording. Anyway, I'll find out, I guess. But so I was thinking of reading some threads. So I thought that'd be funny. So most of threads is bots. Threads is kind of entertaining because there's a lot of loony left ticks on there, liberal ticks. But it's mostly bots though. It's on both sides because you can see like people are posting the most ridiculous takes just to get interaction from people. I don't know what you get out of it on threads really, but so some of the stuff is so stupid, right? Left or right. And your immediate reaction is like, "Oh my gosh, you're an idiot." But it's like, dude, it's a bot. Sometimes it's not, but most of the time if you click on it and you just kind of scroll through the comments and see if the author of the post responds to anything, then I might make a comment. But I don't like, "Oh yeah," because chances are it's a bot anyway. See, here's another, and this is like more psyops. So this is like the second. So look, here's somebody posting something. The number one cause of death for American children isn't premature birth, car accidents, or cancer. It's guns. The greatest threat facing our kids is being shot to death. I posted on something else that was similar, but they do the same crap. But no, it's not. It's abortions. It's actually having an abortion is the number one killer of children. And this, I don't understand how they're like, "Oh, guns. It's can this coffee cup sitting here? Will this coffee cup kill me?" Huh? No. But if somebody was to grab it and smash it in my skull, yeah, maybe. So, yes, I can understand the infatuation America has with guns, but I don't disagree with it. You know what I mean? So, it's not the guns, you libtard. It's like, look at the people who are doing the shootings. It's see, they're really trying, maybe that's what it is. I mean, I still believe that it is demonic possession and it's, but maybe that's the end game. Maybe that's the goal. It's because they know people have mental problems, trans, and, they do. So they're trying to use them. Oh, look at trans people are great. And then so there's a bunch of them. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of shooting. They're trying to, it's like they're trying to cause like a mass thing to happen, a huge, horrific incident, so that people will give up their guns. And once that happens, America is completely screwed. I mean, it's on its way there, but you give up your Second Amendment right, you're done. And that's the other argument too from the left. It's like, well, you can have your pistol for safety. You don't need a pistol. Dude, it's not. The Second Amendment is not for the burglar breaking into your house. It's for the government trying to take over. If you get rid of everybody's rifles and stuff, you can't have no militia. Just think if during the Revolutionary War, if all the people had were the little flintlock pistols, they couldn't get rifles or cannons or anything, there would be no America. And of course, yeah, there are some liberal ticks that would be like, "Oh, that'd be great," because they're stupid and they're lunatics. But it's not about the guy breaking in your house. It's about tyranny. That's why people have semiotic assault rifles for when, the government, because and the thing is like people, they're freaking out about the National Guard coming in and doing this, which I have to be honest is a little unsettling to see. You're like, "Ooh," but but there is a reason for it. Now, if they stay there forever, and then if they stay there too long, it might get a little kind of, right now, okay. I get it. And then you have people like, oh, they're picking up trash. Man. Dude, shut up. That's what you do when you're in the military. So obviously you don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, when the soldiers come to your town and you have no idea what's going on, you're going to want those, those. So that's what's kind of funny. Like, they don't, they don't. So, I don't know. Like, you have the National Guard and you have a lot of it's like fake too. Again, bots, people trying to make up outrage. When if you watch people who actually live in DC, they're grateful. Probably feels a little uneasy. Especially when you didn't, you weren't in the military or nothing, and you see a military person at your local coffee shop, and you've never been on, a military base. For a lot of people, it's normal, but for the people who enjoy the freedoms that we have and have no clue about the real world, it's a shock to them. Oh my gosh. But and then you have the people who are angry, and then so you have that person, not a bot, but let's take a legitimate liberal idiot who hates Trump, hates the Republicans, is all for this stuff, and then sees the National Guard coming in and is complaining about it. But then it's like, what are they thinking? They're like, if they honestly believe that they're there to be taken over, how would you fight that? What do you do? Are they just like, oh, hopefully Kamala Harris will come save me? Or I don't know, like, what are they thinking? Are they like, I need to get a gun. Oh man, that's not cool because I don't like guns. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of curious, like what goes on in a liberal tick's mind. It's crazy. Be interesting. Anyway, I've been talking for 30 minutes, so I think that's enough. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for hanging out. God bless, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.